Hello everyone and welcome to another video of the Sky channel. So this video is one of the ones that I'm extremely passionate about, and you'd be wondering, what is it? Is it about your alliance? Well, sort of, but not really. Now, the thing is, over the 2 years of running the alliance and building it from the ground up, there's a lot of things that I learned. And for a long time, we kept those things fairly secret because, if other people learn about them, they could copy them. And well, then, we kind of lose our secret sauce of success. But I eventually decided that it's not something that needs to be kept extremely secret. I mean, if it can help other people, maybe it should be learnings that I should be sharing with everyone else because they're good learnings. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what are the things that I've learned over the few years, and that's been really the key to success of the Alliance. To give you some background, the Sky Alliance started off as a very weak alliance in a particularly weak server. Server 574 was not one of the servers that are fairly well known. Honestly, I wouldn't say it's pretty well known even right now, other than the fact that we do have Sky Alliance in there, so I consider it well known. But it's not a very popular server. It's pretty much currently mostly just Sky, and the other alliances are fairly small compared to us. That being said, back then when we started Sky, it was a fairly weak server. Even then, there weren't too many big fighters of big whales there. Sky Alliance itself was basically me, a few of my close officers, and a lot of dead hills and farms and stuff. It was not a strong alliance. Even though the server itself was weak, we were probably one of the weaker alliances in that server. Over time, and of course, with a lot of learnings and a lot of strategies, we were able to get it to something that would be considered one of the strongest within our server range. And one of the biggest things that people don't realize is the impact of core values. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. We're going to be talking about our core values and how they really shaped the alliance to what it is today. Now, just a little bit of a sneak peek. Our alliance consists of an extremely diverse set of people. There are people from all over the world, and it is absolutely crazy. We have people from Taiwan, we have people from Japan, we have people from Canada, we have people from US, we have people from Europe, we have people from Brazil, we have people from Russia, we have people from Ukraine, and the list just keeps going on and on. The point is, there are so many people that speak different languages, that are used to different cultures, that are used to different norms, and of course, we have a lot of women as well. So there's women and there's men. And the thing is, if you were to look at it from an outside perspective, you'd be like, there's not a lot of things that are holding Sky together, right? They don't have the same time when everyone's active. They speak different languages. You go to the ally chat, you see Chinese, you see Japanese, you see Portuguese, you see English. It's like a whole mix. And, you'd be like, it would be easy to get some people out of that alliance because, well, they'd be like, I'm with a bunch of people who are speaking different languages and, I'm not used to this and all that stuff. But that's never been the case. Now, the people that are in Sky, a lot of them have been there for a very, very long time. And it's not like people haven't tried to recruit them. Some of them are the strongest people in our server range, but they refuse to leave. So what is this glue that's holding everyone together so firmly when there are so many differences between us? And that is our core values. Now, despite all the differences, ages, countries, gender, everything being so different, the thing that's similar across all of us is that we all believe in the same core values. You see, core values is something that you can have in common with a lot of different people despite their culture, despite their ethnicity, despite their gender, right? Core values can be similar. And that's exactly why everyone in Sky is like a family, despite being so different. Because we all have the same core values, and if we do, we're not really that different. We're pretty much the same people. Just that, of course, we speak different languages. And regardless of that, we all love each other like a family. So now, let's talk about what the core values are and why they've been so effective in holding our family together. So why don't we go to theskylines.com and look at the values. Keep in mind, I haven't updated the website in a while, so some things might be a little outdated, but I'm also going to be speaking to it so you get a more current version of everything. We are working on a different website, and that's why I haven't been updating this one. But anyhow, let's start with the core values. Doing the right thing. You might be that's super generic, right? Doing the right thing. Yeah, everyone wants to do the right thing. Sure. But the reason why it's always at the top of the Sky core values is because it is the single most important thing that I want everyone in the Alliance to consider when they make decisions. I don't want us to be thinking like, hey, this is something that might help me, so I should be doing this. No particular rule was made for it. And you see, before I get to it, there's something that you need to know. A lot of alliances create these rules that everyone needs to follow. And sure, that's helpful, right? Putting it on a piece of paper that this is something you can do, this is something you can't do. And, sometimes people join and they're like, send me a list of rules. Well, rules are good, but there's no way you can have rules that cover pretty much everything that's possible. You can cover a few fundamental things, right? Hey, don't attack our allies or this and that. But there's so many different situations that you really can't predict. So rules are good in certain situations, but they're not as wholesome as values. And of course, doing the right thing is one of those values that are extremely wholesome, right? When you are thinking, always think about what is the right thing to do. Don't think about what's best for me. Don't even think about what's best for the alliance, right? Sometimes you might be in an island and you might think that, doing this is best for my alliance. We can farm champion points and we're going to do much better as a team, but it might not be the right thing to do because you're being unfair to your allies. And being unfair to your allies is not good. Sure, it helps your alliance a lot. You guys go up in the ranks and you all are getting good benefits from it, but it's not the right thing to do. And this is a very difficult thing to implement because you might think that as a leader of this alliance, I should be thinking about my alliance first. Sure, you should. But you know what? If you're being unfair to your allies, it's going to harm you in the long run. Doing the right thing is always going to come on top because people are going to remember that this is an alliance that only cares about themselves, right? If you are somebody who is like, I'm going to farm champion points against my own allies, and I get a lot of them. I don't care about my allies because, well, the island is almost over. That's a wrong decision. And you know what? Eventually, that repetition is going to stick on. People are going to remember that this is the alliance that is extremely selfish and somebody that I really don't want to work with in the future. In my experience, doing the right thing always comes back to you and benefits you way more than doing something selfishly. And selfishly could be just for your own alliance as opposed to just for yourself, right? There have been many islands we've had where we've acted in a way that we perceived it's the right thing, even if it harms us a little bit. We've done it. And you know what? It's always helped us a lot. We developed a lot of good friendships with other alliances, a lot of close allies, and also many times other alliances have seen this and a bunch of their top members have come to us and joined Sky because they're like, you know what? This is the sort of alliance that I want to be in, and they've never left. So a very encompassing but a very important core value. If you were to copy Sky, just doing the right thing should always be in the top of your core values as well, because it is the one thing that is always going to be true, right? You always want your team to be doing the right thing. You can't make rules for everything, but this is the one rule that you can make: do the right thing. Sure, it doesn't specify what the right thing is, but you know what? You can argue that what you did is not the right thing. I mean, people have that sort of sense that they can determine what's the right thing to do at any certain situation. Okay, next up, honesty. And just by the name, you can probably tell what I'm going to be saying, right? It's always good to be an honest person, right? In real life, but also in the game. And you know what? You make a deal with somebody, either it's your own members or it's your allies or somebody, you better live up to that deal. Don't find loopholes. Don't find ways to cheat yourself out of that deal. You want to maintain an honest reputation. If people are going to be going around like, hey, don't make deals with this alliance because they always break them, that's not going to help you in the future. You need to be known as somebody who never breaks deals. You need to be known as somebody who sticks to what they said and doesn't back out of it just because it benefits them to back out, right? Be honest with your dealings with your allies and your enemies. Enemies are important as well. You don't want to backstab your enemies either. You need to be honest in all of your dealings. Don't play games. I mean, we're all playing games. Don't pretend to be best friends with somebody and then working against them. That's also dishonesty, right? Always try to be as honest as you can. Next up, trust. And we sort of covered this in the honesty part, right? You need to be seen as somebody that people can trust. And this goes to multiple levels. When people are trusting you to make the right decision, we do it right. We don't backstab people, even if it might benefit us. But another thing that I haven't really mentioned here is that you need to be somebody trustworthy, that people can come and talk to you about certain situations that may be something that they wouldn't want to share with a wider audience. So if somebody talks to you about something private, keep it private. They gave you their trust, they shared something that they don't want you to publicize, and if you go around publicizing it, that's a breach of trust. You need to be somebody who people see as, this is somebody I can trust. I can share personal information with them. They're not going to break my trust. And they won't even break my trust if they, let's say, turn against me in the future. The things that I shared in trust remain in trust. And if you can develop that sort of a repetition, your alliance can go really far. And honestly, these stuff are not just for R4s. It should be just a generic practice, right? You need to be a trustworthy person. And only that way are you going to be able to develop good relationships with people. And people will see you as a really nice leader, regardless of if you're a leader or not. Discipline. This is an important one. You don't want to be rallying geckos during wars, right? Well, this is very important as well. Now, it does say here that we never lost. Well, we hadn't lost up until the last island. That's where our bad luck started. But we had a lot of lost islands, barren lands, and jungles before this that we really hadn't lost. Now, the key to that success was discipline. So why is discipline so important? Discipline is what differentiates us from being 100 individuals doing whatever we want, whenever we want it, as opposed to 100 people that are extremely united and following one vision and one path forward, and everyone is building towards that direction, right? Without discipline, you might be in an alliance, but you really won't reap the benefits because the alliance is not going to have the sort of success that it otherwise would have if everyone was working towards the same common goal. So discipline is what makes sure that everyone follows the same vision towards success of the alliance. And that's a general way of thinking about it. If you, for example, are to punch a wall in 100 different places once, you're probably not going to be able to do anything to that wall. But if everyone is punching the wall once at the same exact location, that's 100 punches the wall is getting at that particular location, it's probably going to collapse. And essentially, that is the value of discipline. The leadership team is going to think about what is the best way forward for our alliance that's going to benefit the whole alliance. If we're thinking about a war, the leadership team spends a lot of time prior to the war thinking about what would be the best strategy that we should be sticking to make sure that we achieve the maximum amount of success. Now, enemies are smart and they will try to distract you by giving you opportunities to earn individual benefits by attacking, let's say, a wrong tower that is not necessary for us to achieve our goal, right? And without discipline, what's going to happen is that those distractions will end up preventing us from achieving our goals because we have a limited time, and if people get distracted from the goal that has been set by the leadership, we're not going to be able to achieve our task and we're not going to be able to reach the wonder in sufficient time for us to get it. So when the leadership has decided the path forward, make sure that you are following the guidelines that leadership is giving you. If you're not, and you see, hey, you know what, weaker enemies are defending that tower, which is completely unnecessary for our goals, and you start attacking that and you waste all of your stamina on that tower that's not useful and the leaders have marked it as a useless tower, you might be benefiting yourself, but you are harming the alliance by not following the direction that the leadership has provided you. This makes discipline extremely important, right? You could have 100 of the strongest people in the alliance, but if they are not disciplined and everyone is just logging in whenever they want and doing whatever they want during that time, rallying geckos and all that stuff, you're never going to achieve the sort of success of a very powerful alliance because you have zero discipline. However, if you have 100 not very strong people and they are showing showing up in numbers at the same time that the leadership has decided, believe me, that hits way harder than having an alliance of whales, because discipline hits hard. And that's something that all alliances should strive for. And I'll also share something else. If leaders know that the members will be disciplined, it allows them to target more ambitious goals, right? They know that, 60 members are definitely going to show up at this particular time, and it will only take us this amount of time to break that tower and get past it. And you know what? That allows them to plan more ambitious goals, which they know they'll be able to succeed. But if members are not showing discipline, then leaders will not be able to have these ambitious goals, because they're going to know that fewer members are going to show up, and hence the leadership might settle for less. So as members, make sure that you do follow leadership guidelines, because once they see that, they're going to be able to make even more amazing goals, and of course you'll be able to achieve those goals. And as leaders, try to make sure that you're always striving for discipline, because discipline can do amazing things. Now, I will also say that you should try to get members' opinions regularly, right? You want to try to make sure that members who are interested in sharing their opinions feel valued. So make sure you ask them, let's say before you make a certain plan, you can try to ask members to give their opinions on certain decisions. But for members during a war, when things are extremely stressful and leadership is working extra hard trying to make sure that everyone is organized, disagreeing with the leadership and being like, I don't think this is the right thing to do, we should be attacking this and not that, doesn't really lead to anything positive. Why? Because the leadership does not have time to explain at that particular moment why this is the best decision in the big picture view, because they have already thought about this in the group chats where they've been planning this whole thing out, but now they don't have the opportunity to explain it to you because they are so busy trying to organize everyone to follow the direction. Now, if you are publicly saying that this is not a good decision, perhaps some people will start agreeing with you, and you know what? It's just going to create unnecessary tension within the alliance, and that's not a good thing, right? Perhaps you're going to get upset, perhaps other people will get upset as well, and a group of you are going to leave because you don't agree with the decision, and that just weakens the alliance as a whole. So leadership, make sure you try to get opinions from the team before certain decisions so that everyone is aligned. During the war, members should definitely follow leadership direction and not question it at that particular moment, because that just creates unnecessary stress, tension, and perhaps this lack of discipline can lead to a bunch of people leaving and not deciding to stick around and actually fight. But members, after the war ends, and wars are not permanent, right? They're going to be 8 hours, 16 hours, perhaps, depending on your barren land or lost island timings. You can reach out to the RFO and ask them why they made that particular decision, and then you can expect them to answer you and explain the whole thing to you. And if you don't agree with them, you can directly message me, or if you're part of another alliance, your R5, and then share your opinions with your R5. And of course, the R5 should always consider the opinions of the members, and you address them as long as you feel that the opinions are appropriate. Now, in the case where you see somebody intentionally showing lack of discipline, not listening to leadership orders, breaking the trust of the alliance by, let's say, attacking particular places for their own personal gain, or perhaps attacking structures before the time that's been allotted, which are all major breaches of discipline and is extremely unfair for the alliance and the people who are following orders, the leadership should not be afraid of making strong decisions. In the island, you have the ability to R0 people, and if it comes to it, I hate making people R0 myself, but if it comes to it, it needs to happen, right? You need to set the tone that lack of discipline is not going to be permitted, because if you do not, other people might decide to start doing the same thing. So if somebody is showing a complete lack of discipline and is refusing to listen to leadership orders during important times, you should not be afraid to take strong actions to make sure that discipline remains in the alliance. Next up is respect. And this is also very, very important. Remember, I keep mentioning Sky as a family, and I genuinely mean it. Like, all of us have a lot of love and respect for each other. And that's why even if we're losing or if we're in a very stressful fight and stuff like that, the team remains respectful and loving of each other. So you respect each other and you never lose composure in ally, zone, or season or camp chat. This is important. Even if you are frustrated with how things are being done. You do not need to publicly criticize somebody or even the leadership or even other members. Let's say, oh, you didn't show up for war. Well, that's not something that needs to happen in a public setting. You don't want to publicly disrespect people. You want to try to handle things in a better way. And one of the good ways would be, if you are not an R4, reaching out to an R4 about a certain situation. If your problem is with an R4, reaching out to the R5 about the situation. If the problem is with the R5 directly, maybe just trying to have a chat with them. R5s should be reasonable. If you come to them with concerns, they should address them, right? There's a good way of handling situations. Losing your composure and fighting an ally chat, creating a huge drama, stresses everyone out. And people aren't playing the game to get stressed out or watch drama unfold and start wondering, okay, the alliance is falling apart. Nobody wants that sort of feeling. It's also much easier to resolve things if you deal with them in private instead of just going ahead and shouting at people or, making a big deal in ally or zone chat, or even criticizing allies in camp chat or season chat, or even arguing with enemies in season chat. All of these things are not right, and they don't really reap the output that you're trying to get. It's just going to create additional friction. Whoever you're calling out is going to fight back, and they're going to start targeting you, and you're probably not going to be an angel without any flaws, right? They'll always find something to fight you back with, and it's just going to create unnecessary stress and tension within the alliance and within the camp and within the island. Now, I also mentioned here that if somebody from the leadership team reminds you to do something, you should respond with respect, because the leadership team is volunteering their time to make sure that everyone gets along well, to make sure we have a good strategy that we're implementing, and to make sure that everyone has a very good experience in a way that's beneficial to everyone, right? So if they're doing that, we want to give them the base courtesy of being respectful to them. And of course, as I mentioned before, if you disagree with something, reach out to them or reach out to the R5 so you can clarify why they're making that decision. Of course, the leadership team should also be respectful to the members, right? You don't want to have a little bit of a power play and just start criticizing everyone because you're a leader. Well, you're only a leader because people decided to join your alliance. If everyone leaves, you're no longer a leader. So you need to show respect to the people that actually trusted you with leadership. So of course, it's a two-way street. The members should respect you, but you should respect the members too. And honestly, this is also very important. As R5, I try to be as humble as possible and never make it feel like I'm better than anyone else, because the moment I do that, I won't be. They'll just go to some other alliance that treats them better, and all of a sudden, I'll just be a regular member too, right? So never let that power get to your head and be like, yeah, I'm on top of the world. I can do whatever I want. I have infinite power. You don't. You really don't have any power other than the power that others gave you by giving you their trust to lead them. And the moment you break that trust, or you try to misuse the power that came along with that trust, you're not going to keep your members. You're going to lose them to somebody better than you. Finally, core value number 6. Selflessness. And this is actually so important. Like, you might think that, okay, first one was doing the right thing, which means that we're going in order from most important to least important. Not really. Selflessness is actually one of the very, very, very important values that I use very often. You're not judged based on what you do for yourself. Rather, you're judged for what you do for the alliance. A selfish player will not last in Sky very long, but a selfless player will be celebrated and rewarded. And I say, it is my job as R5 to make sure selfish players are punished while selfless players are rewarded. Simply put, if everyone in Sky is selfless, you'll be living here without stress, knowing that everyone is caring and looking out for your best interests. Now, I know I read that verbatim, but essentially, as a leader, it's my job to make sure that I encourage good behavior. And what is good behavior? It is the behavior where somebody is putting others ahead of themselves. They are like, hey, you take this, right? No, you take this benefit because I want you to benefit from it. And if everyone starts behaving like that, it creates a very good culture of love and respect. If you're acting in self-interest, like, hey, I want to be the one getting the first rewards and I'm going to start attacking before everyone else so that I get all the kills, or, like, hey, I want to be on top of the repetition rankings to get more soldiers, or I want to be standing in the place with the lowest march time so I can get the best outcomes for myself. Those are not things that are really going to be beneficial to the alliance, right? You need to think about what's best for the alliance. And if we see selfish behavior and we don't address it, you know what's going to happen? That's right. People are going to start thinking that this behavior is acceptable, and then eventually everyone is going to become selfish. Because, hey, if I'm not being selfish, I'm not going to get my rights. Somebody else is going to take all the kills by attacking first, so I might as well start attacking first too. Right? Why do I need to wait for the allotted time when somebody else is going to get all the kills before it? And eventually, everyone who decides to remain selfless will either never get those kills or never get those benefits, or they'll decide that, you know what, I don't want to be selfless in this alliance. I'll be selfish too, and I'll just act before everyone else. Right? So it creates a pretty tough decision. Selfless people will either become the people that benefit the least from the alliance and then they're going to leave because they're like, you know what, there's no point in staying here. Or they'll become selfish themselves and then eventually you won't have any selfless people left in the alliance. So very important for you to make sure that you encourage selflessness. Punish the selfish, but celebrate the selfless. And eventually, you can make it such that even the selfish people are like, wait a minute, it is in my own interest to be selfless. And then all of a sudden, everyone becomes selfless, even if they're just doing it for their own personal gain. By being selfish, the actions they'll be doing will be selfless. So both ways work like that. If you are not preventing selfish behavior and you're doing nothing and letting it happen, then everyone will become selfish. And if you are preventing selfish behavior and you are encouraging selfless behavior, everyone will become selfless. So keep that in mind, and I think it can take the alliance really, really far. And that covers our 6 core values that we have right now. One thing that you need to do is to make sure you communicate these core values repeatedly because people can tend to forget them. As long as you are communicating them often enough, people will remember them and they'll remember why they're in Sky and what's holding them together, or why they're in your particular alliance and what's holding them together in the alliance despite all the differences. And then they'll actually start understanding certain decisions that you're making as the right decisions because you are taking into account the 6 core values that everyone has already agreed to, right? Before they join our alliance, they check the core values and see if they're aligned with them. And if they do, they're in the alliance. And then as long as you are making decisions based on those core values, everyone agrees with them because it's aligned with how they think. Another important thing, as R5 in particular, you need to live by those core values because if you don't, nobody else will. If you are the selfish person of the alliance and you're taking advantage of the whole alliance, forget about trying to get other people to be selfless. That's selfish by itself, and you set the tone as R5. If you do not follow the core values, nobody will. And if you do follow the core values and you actually enforce them, everyone will. It is a very, very important thing. Your leaders, R5 and R4s, need to live by these values. They need to live and breathe the values, and only then are all the other members going to follow. If you are doing completely the opposite of the core values, nobody's going to be interested in following them because you're not setting a good example. And since I still have you here, I do want you to know that you can get between 10 to 35% bonus on in-game purchases in the Ants Underground Kingdom. I'm going to be linking a video to the description of this video, and you can actually find it at the top right corner of the screen as well. That will take you to a video that describes the whole process of getting 10 to 35% bonus on in-game purchases in the Ants Underground Kingdom. The latest promo code will also be there. It's going to be in the title of the video, and it's also going to be in the description of that video. So make sure you check out the video, make sure you're using the most up-to-date promo code, and join a bunch of other people that are taking advantage of these amazing bonuses, including some whales that are ever so thankful because they save so much money when they make purchases in the Ants Underground Kingdom. If you have any questions, you can join our Discord and I can guide you through the process myself as well. Alright, so that covers this video. If you have any comments, please let me know below. If you have any suggestions, please let me know below as well. Please like the video and share it with your friends, share it with your alliance, so that perhaps some of these values might be beneficial for you to implement in your own alliance if you already don't have them. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next one.